So I'm Ben.
I'm Ash.
And we play in a band called Venom Prison. And here we're going to give you some funny stories. We have quite a few. You make a start.
Alright, let's just go straight for the brutal one, shall we? We'll go straight down the middle. He doesn't know we're even saying this either, which makes this even better. Jeff shitting himself in Munich. That was a great night. I believe that was the Darkest Hour tour.
It was.
It was. But it wasn't a normal tour day, was it? Because Harley Flanagan joined on, and then there was another band, I can't remember who.
Yeah, so I think the main tour package was us, Venom Prison and Darkest Hour. It was their headline tour after they just kind of made their comeback album. But there were like a few shows that shared Avocado's roster, wasn't there? So,
yeah.
And we jumped on a show in Munich with Harley Flanagan, and I can't remember, it was a straight edge band, which ironically, straight edge band on probably one of the biggest partying shows I've ever seen. But basically set the tone. I mean, Harley Flanagan showed up in what looked like a dressing gown and a cane, so I thought he was going to be a pretty sort of stiff moving guy, and then like literally as soon as he plays he's jumping off speaker stacks or whatever. But before the show he's walking around handing out bongs and it's all kind of a bit weird, because it then suddenly clicked that like he wore his jiu-jitsu black belt as like a regular leather belt to
That's
keep
so
his trousers
gangster
up.
though, isn't it?
I mean, only one person in the world can get away with that. So I asked him for a photo if he would choke me out like every dickhead does who's into fans, who's a fan of mixed martial arts, because he trains with legends like Renzo Gracie. He's got all sorts of like famous people. So I think you took a picture of him choking me out with his Renzo Gracie jacket.
Even when we had like that like group photo with us, Darkest Hour and everyone, even just holding the jacket, I was like, fair play,
cool.
gangster. Jeff shitting himself.
How did we get to that?
How did we get to that? I think it was just a lot of boozing, smoking, partying, but like it normally goes from 0 to 100, doesn't it? It doesn't.
Yeah.
It never takes long at all. I think we all just went to bed then about 3-4 in the morning, and then was it Darkest Hour singer woke us up?
Yeah, so like maybe a couple hours before that, it had got to the point where they'd filled up. I mean, in Germany, they look after you very well. They'd stocked up the fridge, I think, 2 or 3 times because of all the beer. It was getting towards the end of the tour, so it was pretty much kind of like the last chance to party. So everyone's having a blowout. Even Darkest Hour drummer, who's like a Greek god of a body, who doesn't touch anything bad, who's always working out, even he's on the beers. I think he was even bench pressing our old drummer at the time.
Handsome man.
Yeah, he was literally like, military pressing the guy just for a laugh, just because he'd had a beer. Oh, I'm drunk and I'm strong. So I'm going to chest press a person. So that's what he was doing. So we were all pretty hammered. I think we'd gone to bed, and then Darkest Hour singer, I can't remember his name. John comes in. It's like, hey guys, I think your bass player is pretty sick. I think he's in the bathroom. You should probably go check on him. So we walk in there. I can't remember who even saw him first, but I remember looking. I think Luke, our guitar tech, went to investigate, and he's like, Ben, come and see this. And I opened the door of this sort of bathroom, and he's like in the shower, soaking wet, wrapped up in all the towels. There's shit on the floor. There's vomit everywhere. And yeah, it was just an absolute mess. I don't know really how we got to that point. So
he used all the communal showers, towels, didn't he?
No one was able to shower the next day, so that was fun. So like me and Luke are Luke's like trying to like steer him through the doorways, but like what Jeff keeps doing, he keeps doing this and like grabbing onto things. And so like we kind of managed to get him in like our little dormitory room, and like he just kind of kept making these. I mean, oh yeah, that was it. So like he gets up in the middle of the night, wanders again. And then he's about to fall over, and I can't remember if it was you or Luke manages to push a duvet, because he was on a mattress on the floor.
Oh, yes.
And it slides across the floor, catching him just as he falls the right time. Larissa's waking up every couple hours just to check he's still breathing, because he's making sounds like like a pregnant cow. Every couple of hours you just hear this. And he's like dry heaving. Everyone's like got earplugs in because they don't want to. And then like the next morning, we had like to drive to Austria.
Yeah, we went to Vienna.
So like I just thought, fuck's sake, he's going to be like throwing up in the van all the way. And like we've had shows before. I mean, this is fairly normal at the time. He would stick his head out the van and just throw up out the window if he'd had a rough night. He doesn't do this anymore. But like I knew we were in for a treat.
Every time I was listening to my headphones in the back of the van, when a song would like come to the end and it'd be that like brief silence for like 3 seconds, all I would do was like,
oh,
and then just see it like chunks just go past the window. Just sat there with my headphones on, just minding my own business, oblivious to the world. It's just sick chunks just flying past the side window. But
like, luckily this time, like I raided the cleaning cupboard. Sorry, whatever the venue was. Like I'd robbed a bucket. Like I'd just taken a mop bucket from their cleaning cupboard, stashed it in the van. Oh, and he even threw out like some trousers that were covered in shit, stuffed them in a bush before we got on. So like he's just there the entire journey next to you at the front. Poor Steve's just sat next to him, our sound guy, who's just putting up with him throwing up. Like it was pretty much on command every 20 minutes, half an hour. It, probably really not very good for him.
I think it was the fact he put his jeans on, didn't he? Like when he actually woke up, he put his jeans back on that were covered in shit inside. And it was only because he went outside and it was quite nice weather, and he was like, oh, I should probably change into my shorts.
Yeah.
And it's as he was taking his jeans off, he'd realised they were the same jeans that he'd shit in, and then there was an old man walking his dog walking past. He just fucking launches his jeans past this old man's head like covered in shit. Yeah. Oh, well, that was, yeah.
But we can safely say he's not shit himself for probably 3 years now, so we're doing okay.
I've had closer calls than him.
But the funniest thing was, like, what Luke kind of quotes when we found him first in that bathroom. He dropped his trousers to be sick and pulled them back up to take a shit. So that's how fucked he was. Our other that's a pretty standard pub party story. There's maybe a couple others worth sharing. The second one I think we want to quickly share was when we played Detroit for the first time, and I think it was a venue called Harpo's, which was really big in the 80s, but now it's just absolute cesspit. If you go on the Google reviews, I think someone describes it as this is if Herpes was a venue, this would be it. And like I remember getting there, asking the guy for a merch table, and he takes me up this room, and just to set the tone, he's like, "Oh, just be careful of my dogs." I'm like, "What dogs?" And fucking out the door, these 2 pit bulls just are fucking running loose around the venue. Thinking, "Fuck, this is it. I'm gonna die here." So that was pretty bad. But like when we got there, the police were briefing all the bands.
Yeah, it's weird, wasn't it?
The police were like saying, right, don't go to that KFC over the road. If you see a red light, if you're at a red light and someone approaches you, run it. That's the police giving it the advice. So we're like, okay, so this isn't good. Don't leave the venue without armed security. Don't load out. Don't load in without security. Security looked like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
He was so sick.
He had a shotgun on the front of his car, and he'd spray painted or just stuck a magnetic stinger.
It was the magnetic one, wasn't it? That just said security.
That was it. So he was just doing like little laps around the venue with like a handgun and a shotgun. And someone had literally like a pickaxe at the door, didn't they?
Oh yeah, he had the hatchet, didn't he?
Yeah, fucking hatchet. And that was terrifying. And like I remember trying to go out for a cigarette, and they were saying, "What are you doing?" It's like, "I'm just going for a smoke." And they're like, "Don't smoke outside." I'm like, what? So how to smoke
that KFC was covered in bullet holes as well.
Yeah.
Like literally like covered in bullet holes. But that was wild, wasn't it? And it was weird because like you could see like there was that, bridge in the distance that was kind of like connecting the two almost like areas together, and you would see people on the other side just looking over.
Yeah.
Like but like really weird, if you know what I mean. Like you would never see something like that normally, where you would be essentially on your island or your side of things, and then there's other people going, "Oh, what's going on over there?" and just looking over. I'd never seen anything like it in my life, to be honest. But
then like that was kind of scary enough, and we thought, right, well, we don't want to stay anywhere here, because like it was one of our first US tours, so we didn't have a driver. We were just like, we need to get out of here, find a motel. Like usually our routine was play the show, figure out how far it was, drive as far as we could, get a motel, sleep before. Let's try and get as far away from the city as possible. So I think we drove at least a good 3 hours after the show. So it's like 3 a.m. We get to the motel, and me and you are at the front, aren't we? We arrive at the van.
Yeah.
We're in the front of the van. We arrive at this place, and like it sounds so stereotypical, But we arrive at this motel thinking finally get some sleep. We're away from sketchy Detroit, even though we're still in Detroit State. And like we saw a blacked out SUV. We saw like the motel had like 2 levels, didn't it? We'd seen people running out of rooms, going to others, sort of ladies in dressing gowns sticking their heads out and thinking, oh, I think I know what this place is. And didn't we saw a guy literally put a backpack in a bush.
Yeah, drop off. Like a legit drop off.
Yeah, and then some other dude picked, as if like, I mean, he obviously was tipped off to where this thing was, but no one else would have known where this backpack was. Just took it, walked off. And at that point, Larissa and Joe had already checked in. And you look at me, and the guy walks up to he knocks on the window and asks me for a cigarette, and I'm like, I don't smoke. That was so sketchy. And, you know, bearing in mind, we kind of knew it was clearly a prostitute racket and a drugs racket running this motel. The room stank of fucking weed and drugs and just overall bad vibes. And we're like, we're not staying here because we had the merch money, we had everything.
Yeah, that was the worst bit, wasn't it? Like, you had so much equipment and money, and I know we brought the money in with us and stuff, and we would try and bring as much gear, but the reality is when there's 5 people in one motel room, you're not bringing that much music equipment in with you. It's kind of like grab your most valuable possession, and that's what's coming with you. Good luck.
Yeah.
The van's now locked. I hope you wake up in the morning with your stuff.
I mean, it was like that a lot of the time touring. You think, oh, go to bed, hope the van and your gear's still there. But yeah, with the guy wouldn't give us a refund. We just like drove another couple hours, and we thought we found a safe hotel, which it was. And then in the morning when we got in, the elevator had bullet holes in too. So we were like, oh, we're still not really out of Detroit then. But
no, we came out alive though.
So yeah, there's two sketchy stories. Yeah.
Another story. We're gonna have to say the fire extinguisher one, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to say the fire extinguisher one. I'm sure we've told this story quite a few times, but it's still a classic, isn't it? I can't remember. I think it was a Trap Them tour.
Yeah, Trap Them, Occult Karate. I'm just looking at the tour poster now.
And I think we were going somewhere in Europe. I can't remember where, but we were watching Commando in the back of the van.
Fuck yeah, you were, weren't you?
This is what makes this story so great, is the fact we were watching Commando, and we had our merch guy with us, Zach.
Yeah.
And there was like these fire extinguishers under the seats of the driver and the passenger at the front of the van, but somehow Zach had managed to like slip his foot under and set one off by accident, but it was so loud in the van, and it was in like the most action-packed scene of Commando.
Yeah, there's explosions and things going on, isn't there?
Like the grenades are going off and everything, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I've just walked into like a 4DX cinema because there's just white smoke.
There's just smoke coming up everywhere. I'm fucking driving, and the way, because it comes under the chair, it looked like it had come from the electronics, like the console in the van. So I'm like, fuck, it's an electrical fire. So I'm just like, everyone stay calm.
Do you remember me trying to get everyone out the van?
Yeah, like everyone out the van, pulled over, fucking everyone's there, and like fucking Zach didn't think to tell us. I think he was too embarrassed to say that he'd actually let it off, but we thought there was an explosion in the van.
Oh, it was so funny, like that. I don't know what happened in that moment. It was just like all these like mad scenes in Commando going on, and like all this like CO2. I'm sure it was CO2 or something, like whatever the fire extinguisher was under there. But like it was just covered in white powder, and then just I remember sat in the back, and just my first initial thought was just like, everyone get out the fucking van. Like I seen you like pulling over, and I was like, everyone get ready, get out the van. And then found out it was just a fire extinguisher, but...
Jeff thought his legs had been blown off. He thought he'd lost his legs because of the explosion and the smoke. He was looking for his legs. Yeah. But
I would say they're a good couple of our funny tour stories.
Yeah. Oh, and an honourable mention goes to our old drummer who asked me to pull over. I thought he was going to be sick or do something. He just needed a tissue to blow his nose.
I still can't get over that.
I've never asked anyone to pull over just to blow their nose.
That's still the most incredible thing I think I've ever seen somebody request is, I need to pull over right now. Why? I've got to blow my nose. Yeah. This is pre-COVID as well.
Yeah, this is pre-COVID.
But I think there's our tour stories.
Yeah, those are the ones that we'll mention on camera.